So I think we are live.
Yes.
Yeah. So hello guys, welcome to Talks with CSEA. Today's session is going to be super informative and super insightful. I'm very excited and hope that you are too. But before that, let me introduce ourselves. Who we are. So we CSEA or Computer Science and Engineering Association NIT Varangal is the official branch association of our college, which started in 2002. We work continuously for the welfare of students of our college. The CSA conducts events around the year for the benefits of the students of not just CSE but other branches too. Among the several events to come this semester, this is the fifth instance of our new series, Talks with CSEA, where today we are going to talk about the opportunities for MS in computer science domain with our guest, Saurabh Bodhe. So let's welcome our guest today, Saurabh Bodhe. Now I'll introduce him. Who is he? He's a really a man of few words whose journey speaks on his behalf. His stay in NIT Varangal has been full of learnings, and he graduated in 2020 from CSE department. From web development to research, you name it, and he has been there. His main area of interest has been computer vision, deep learning, and machine learning. In his second year, he was the winner of Microsoft Code Fundu Junior League and finalist at Ink Makers. He was also a part-time AI researcher at Skylark Labs. With his proficiency in Django, he became lead developer in WSDC and IT Varangal from 2018 to 2020. There is more to his journey. In summer 2018, got accepted as summer research intern in Indian Institute of Science. In 2019, interned at Salesforce and then joined Salesforce as associate member of technical staff. You thought you thought that was it, but no. He recently got acceptance letter from Mila AI Research Institute, New York University, and Arizona State University. With such an incredible journey of learning and experience, let's welcome Saurabh Bodhe. So, Saurabh, welcome.
Thanks for that intro, Jen. Really appreciate it. It's good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, welcome. Now, on behalf of our viewers, we have created a list of questions that we'll be asking Saurabh, and he'll be answering them. So, without further ado, let's get started.
Sure.
So, a very common question students have is that how they should start applying to the university overseas. How do you identify in which field to do MS? What should they do?
So by field, let's first start with branch, then we'll talk about specialization. So in regards to branch, usually people would prefer staying in the same branch. Like if you did a BTech in computer science, then you would usually do a MS in computer science as well. But it is very common for some people to change branches, especially from other non-circuit branches to say MS in computer science. So for such people, I would recommend that you have some kind of background in core subjects of computer science like DS, operating systems, DBMS, etc. You can always reach out to your CSE friends, talk what are the important subjects in CSE, and maybe have some courses through EDX or Coursera, and just make sure that you have something to show to the admission committee that you have some kind of background in computer science. And plus, you have two open electives in your college life. You can choose computer science electives in those two open electives. Moving to specialization, we have many specializations in computer science. The most common would be AI for artificial intelligence, HCI for human computer interface, systems, theory, networks, data science, cybersecurity, and some universities may have more specializations, but these are the most common ones. So how do you identify which specialization would suit you? So for this, I would say spend your BTech life exploring different projects in these specializations. Now, one of the best way to do that is a hackathon. Whenever you participate in a hackathon, try to do a project in, let's say, AI, and next hackathon, let's try to do a project related to data science. In this way, you can gauge what is your interest in each of these topics. And like there are some like specializations like systems, systems is basically advanced version of operating system subject. So you cannot really do a project in operating systems. So you can gauge your interest using the subjects you study as part of your CS curriculum. If you did well in operating system course, if you like that, then maybe you could go for system specialization. In addition to that, you can go for research interns. But I would say first get an initial idea what you are interested in. As a confirmation that you really like this, go for a research intern in that particular field. Yeah.
So that answers our first question. Moving on to the next question. What are the domains in which professors in university in foreign university look expertise or experience for? Are there any domains that are common with those required by IT companies?
Okay, so domain, I would assume that you mean specialization. So I gave the names in my last answer, but let's go in a bit depth. So AI actually consists, like my interest in the AI, so I can give a bit in-depth explanation of what AI is. So in that we have multiple sub-specializations. You can say that machine learning, deep learning, computer vision, NLP. So machine learning is just any system that is self-learning and learns from provided data. Deep learning is a kind of machine learning where there are deep neural networks involved, and usually they use a lot of data for training. Computer vision is basically image-based application of deep learning, like object recognition or facial recognition. NLP is speech recognition or text recognition. So any AI that is able to understand common human speech would come under NLP. So except AI, the other specializations would be HCI. HCI is human computer interface. So this is basically UI and UX design. So whenever you make any web applications, so you have front end. So analyzing how a human would interact with that front end and what is the flow the software must follow, that would come under HCI. Systems is a more core topic in computer science. You can say it is extension of subjects like operating systems. Next is theory, also called theoretical computer science. It will involve mathematical subjects like cryptography and so on. So if you are someone who is really interested in mathematics as well as computer science and want something that is hybrid across both of them, then theory would be a good option for you. Next one is networks. You can gauge your interest in networks using maybe subject you learn in CSE called computer networks. Next one is data science. Data science, you can say, is extension of DBMS, database management systems. So if you like that during your undergrad, you can go for data science. Next is cybersecurity. So even though you don't learn any subject which is very related to cybersecurity, but what you can do is there is this club in our college called CyberSec. You can participate in their activities. They are really good. They can help you understand a bit in depth into cybersecurity. So answering your second question, which is there any domains that are common with IT companies? So yes, there are some profiles in IT companies which kind of are related. Like systems engineer is related to system specialization. There is a profile called security analyst in companies, which is related to cybersecurity. Then we have data analyst related to data science. And then we have UI and UX designers in many software companies, which is related to HCI.
Yeah. Um, so I hope every viewers would have got their answer. This was very perfectly explained. So moving on to our third question. How should one direct his or her studies to prepare for applying in universities outside India?
Okay. So I would say first and the most important thing, and I know you would hate hearing about this, but that you just need a high CGPA. That there is no way around that. For MS, CGPA matters a lot. If you have 9 plus, amazing, and if you have 8 plus, that is highly recommended. In addition to that, what you can do to prepare for MS would be get some research experience. Best way to do that is a research intern. I would recommend to start early with this because in third year you go through college intern placements, and in third year you will probably do something that you get through college, right? So in your second year summer, that's a good time to get some research experience. And since you are anyway working for free in a research intern, you are more likely to get it. So yeah, also spend your college life exploring different specializations, and make sure by the end by the end of third year you should have some idea what you want to do, since that is the time you will be starting to apply for MS.
Yeah. So our next question is going for MS after working in a company a paradigm shift?
Absolutely, it is. Because I would say MS is more similar to your BTech life compared to your work life. Because the thing is, in company, your work would be very well distributed. let's take the example of software companies. In software companies, we have a product manager who comes up with ideas where they assess the customer requirements and come up with solutions. And then there are UI designers and UX designers who decide what will be the flow of your software, how will it look, and so on. There are software architects who design the backend architecture. Then after all that is done, that whole package comes to your manager. The manager breaks that stuff into small pieces and then allots it to you. After your code implementation is done, which is your job. After your code implementation is done, it goes to performance engineering team. They run multiple tests on it to make sure it is working properly. And then there are separate doc writers who are dedicated to writing documentation for your software. So going to MS side, you are like a one-man army there. You do everything. You come up with the idea for a research project. You work on the research plan. You work on how the design would look like. You complete the implementation as in coding work. You do the experiments. You do the testing for that. Then even you have to write the research paper at the end. So basically, you have to do end-to-end work in case of MS. So obviously, it will be more stressful than your company work. And except these kind of work-related differences, there are also differences in your overall lifestyle. So working in a company, so obviously it's a paying job. So you get used to like a certain kind of lifestyle. You have higher spendings. But after working in a company for a few years into MS, so you will have to restructure your spending patterns, and you have to make sure that your lifestyle is in alignment with how much you're able to afford. So for some people, that may be a difficult task to achieve.
Yeah. So this clears our doubt regarding the paradigm shift. Getting on to the next question. While it's understandable that some professors would prefer some specific qualifications, what are some of the general things that makes good profile to apply in a foreign university?
Okay, so let me talk about the things, the parameters that matter when you apply for universities. First, again, it is CGPA, but in case of MS, it's actually more than CGPA. They would actually look into your transcript and see your subject grades. For example, I would say in computer science, the first year is common for all of us, right? So they would give less weightage to your first year and more weightage to all your other 3 years, which is based on computer science subjects. Even within computer science subjects, they will focus on the core computer science subjects like data structures, operating system, and so on. On top of that, if you're looking for a specialization, let's say in systems, then they will look at your grade in operating systems. So since you want to do a specialization in say systems, they would expect that you have a good grade in operating systems, because that makes sense, right? Yeah, and accept all the CGPA and grade. We need research experience. You can, if you have some published papers, then you can put that in your profile. That would really help you getting admit. Next thing would be GRE and TOEFL scores. So basically, GRE and TOEFL scores are used for cutoffs. Like certain universities may, let's say there's a particular university, Georgia Tech, they may have a cutoff of 320. Now you cannot know that cutoff; they don't make it public. But internally, they use these cutoffs to sort their applications. So they get thousands of applications, and for them, it is not really possible to go through each and every one of them. So let's say if your score is less than the cutoff, then they won't even look at your application. For that reason, your GRE and TOEFL scores are important. But after clearing the cutoff, it doesn't make a lot of difference. More than GRE and TOEFL scores, your CGPA matters. Next would be SOP. SOP is basically the story of your life. How you got here to applying to MS, and what makes you a good candidate for that degree. So in here, it's important for you to highlight all the important whatever qualities you have, whatever makes you different from other applicants. So I would encourage that you start on your SOP very early, maybe 2 or 3 months before you start working on your applications, because it will take multiple revisions for you to get it perfectly. And once you write the first draft, make sure you show it to your professors or your maybe your family or your friends. They could provide some helpful input. Ask them what is your best quality, get their input. That will help you revise your SOP better. And talk about your goals, your long-term goals, your short-term goals, and your SOP. Make sure that someone who is reading it is perfectly clear where do you want to be during your MS and after your MS. Next would be LORs. LORs are another important thing after SOP. Make sure you choose your recommenders who really know you well. Many people just look for people, the recommenders who have a high position. Like I've heard many people preferring full professors over assistant professors, let's say for taking recommendations. The qualities of your recommenders won't matter that much. What matters more is how well the recommender knows you. The letter should not be something generic. Like it should not be saying like this was a good student, he did well in my subject and so on. That sounds too generic. There should be actual anecdotes. Like the professor should be like, I remember that the student asked me a question in my class, and that was a very interesting question. Something like that, something personal. That would like really improve the quality of your LORs. And next thing is the resume. So whatever remaining things you have, work experience, whatever projects you have done during your college life, you can add this here.
Yeah. So that clears all the dilemma that what are some of the general things that makes a good profile to apply in a foreign university. Going on to our next question, what are the opportunities one might get after completing MS? Are they in any way more diverse than those we get after BTech or BSc, or are they different in India and abroad?
So yeah, depending on your specialization, you can go for various research and development jobs or R&D jobs as they are called. All the major software companies have research departments, Microsoft, Google, everyone included. And these departments usually form the starting point of any new product. So, like maybe 1 year before a new product is launched, the research and development department will actually start working on that. So you form the initial point of that product if you are working in a resource-based job, and that gives you kind of freedom to implement your own ideas and not be dependent on someone telling from the top what you have to do. So some examples of these kind of jobs would be if you are doing specialization AI, that would be ML engineer. We can have data scientist, associate scientist, computer vision engineer, UI designer, software architect, and so on. So the thing is, how is this different from your normal SDE jobs? So in these positions, even as a fresher, you will get much higher pays than an entry level SDE. And even your career progress will be faster because of less competition in those specialized jobs. And of course, again, you'll have more freedom to implement your ideas. And that is, I think, the main crux of doing an MS. So if you really enjoyed your research during MS, you can always opt for a PhD. I would highly recommend it because PhD is fully funded, and on top of that, you get a really good stipend, especially in US. And PhD in US has very high prestige, and whenever you apply for any research-based jobs, you will be always placed above the MS applicants, and you will be prioritized above them.
So yeah, that clears our doubt regarding opportunities one might get after MS and how diverse are they are from BTech and BSc. Let's get on to our next question. What are the most important things a person should keep in mind while filling out the application?
So application includes a lot of small things like submitting GRE scores, submitting different kind of documents, and each university may have different set of documents to submit. So it gets very difficult to track, and it is very likely that you will forget something. So what I personally do is I maintain a separate Excel sheet, and I would highly recommend that. I maintain a separate Excel sheet and track everything in that sheet. The first things first, you will need to shortlist your set of universities, and that is the most important task, I would say. And that is not something you have done in the past because if we recall how we participated in the admission process for JOSA for JE exams, there we can give unlimited number of choices, and it will allot you whatever you have. And I'm sure everyone put IIT Bombay CSE on the top. You can do that in that case. but not here. You have to shortlist your universities because applying to each university will entail a lot of fees. On an average, I would say an application for one university, including the GRE and TOEFL fees, like the fees for sending your score to that university, including all that, it will cost you around 10K per university. So I'll take the example of shortlisting 6 universities, but you can do 8 or 10 according to your financial capability. So in the shortlisting procedure, first you need to divide your universities into 3 parts: ambitious, moderate, and safe. Now this is very important, and this decision should not be taken emotionally. Like, you need to look at previous admits and make sure that your profile kind of matches with that. So when I say ambitious, that means that when you look at the previous admits for that particular university, you see that there are few admits that are similar to your profile, but most of the admits are better than your profile. That would be something called ambitious university. And moderate is like 50-50. There are some profiles that are worse than you, some profiles that are better than you, who got admits in that particular university. And safe would be most of the profiles that got admit are not as good as you. So that would be something called safe. So for looking at previous admits, there are a few good resources. We have admits.fyi, grad cafe, yocket. I'll post a link in the chat for you to refer. I've put this in the chat. You can look into that. They will have admits.fyi is a data set of all the past year admits in maybe last 10 years. Grad Cafe is a like updated list of recent admits. Like, most recent admits are updated in Grad Cafe. And Yocket is again a good data set of previous admits. So yeah, so when you create this Excel sheet, I would recommend that you keep these columns: university list, your tuition fees, ranking, what is the deadline for that university, if the LOR received or not, have you submitted the application or not, if the GRE and TOEFL score received or not, what's the GRE code for that university, what is the TOEFL code for that university, because it is easy to forget all this and you may make big blunders in this situation. So it's best to keep track of everything. While starting your application, I would recommend to start early. Start by around October. If you're applying for fall, which starts like fall 2021, would start around August next year. So I would recommend to start your application process by this October, because most of the deadlines will be in December or January. Start with your SOP first, because that will take the most of your time. Make sure that you contact with all your recommenders. Make sure you get a commitment from them that they will provide you a recommendation. And make sure that you have given all your exams by October also. By exams, I mean GRE and TOEFL. Make sure that you give GRE early and TOEFL as late as possible. And there are many reasons for this. Why to give GRE early? Because it has long validity. It has validity of 5 years. So you can give it early. Another thing is GRE is much tougher than TOEFL. So sometimes you may need to give a second attempt. So make sure you have some time. Even if you don't do well in your first attempt, you have some time to again give GRE. And why should the TOEFL be given as late as possible? Because TOEFL only has a validity of 2 years. So in case in this fall, if you're not able to get a good admit, then your TOEFL score should be valid in next fall also. So usually most universities follow the rule that your TOEFL score should be valid as of the day of start of classes. And since classes start in August, it is better to give your, like, let's say 2021. In my case, 2021 classes will start in August 2021. And I gave TOEFL in September 2019. So that is still valid in August 2021. So that is why it's important to give TOEFL late.
Yeah. So those were some great practices and strategies that that will definitely help our viewers. Let's get on to our next question. A major factor that deters people from applying in foreign universities is the fees. What are the ways in which person, especially Indian, can minimize his or her financial burden?
Okay, that is a very good question. I would say, to minimize your financial burden, first of all, go for public universities and not private universities. Public universities would be something like Purdue or Georgia Tech, and private would be something like USC, because their tuition fees is significantly lower than private ones. And in addition to that, you will have more opportunities for funding in public universities because they get grants from US government. So they have more capacity to fund you. And then next you can apply for TA, RA, and GA. It stands for teaching assistant, research assistant, and graduate assistant. So I'll just go through what these are. Teaching assistant is basically you are an assistant to some faculty in maybe some undergraduate class in the same university. This may involve grading assignments or actually teaching a class of students. Usually, these are undergraduate students, and these will be subjects that you have already done, like mathematics or operating systems or anything you have already done in your undergrad. These are probably the highest paying of all the three and the most competitive. For TA, they will also look at your TOEFL speaking score because teaching involves speaking. So they will make decisions on TA ships mostly based on your speaking scores in TOEFL. So make sure that you focus on the speaking section when you give your TOEFL. Next one is research assistant. There are a lot of labs in each universities, and many of these labs require help in conducting research. So there are two advantages for going for research assistantship. First, you get stipend. Second advantage is that you get authorship on their papers. If that lab publishes any papers with your help, they will usually put you as an author also. You will not be a top 3 author, maybe you will be placed later, but anyhow, that's still authorship, and that will help you in the future. Last one is graduate assistantship. So that is usually they are usually jobs in the administration for the college. Now, in our college, our administration does not hire students, but in US universities, all the admin jobs are even done by students, like maintaining student records, scheduling classes, all these kind of stuff are managed by students. So yeah, this is graduate assistantship. So all of these are kind of competitive, and you may not get any of these. So in that case, you can go for on-campus jobs. So there are many odd jobs on campus. Like this may sound crazy to you, but even the mess is run by students. Like the cooks are students, the serving staff is students. There are a lot of campus stores, let's say McD and Starbucks. The cashier is a student and the barista is a student. So that will doing something like this in India would kind of sound weird for you, but that is very normal in countries like US, and I would say go for it. Don't feel ashamed to do such things. And they pay kind of well because let's say a Starbucks cashier would earn around $10 per hour, and let's say you work 3 hours a day, that will be how much? $150 per week, and that will be $600 per month. That will almost cover your rent and your all kinds of living expenses. So that will help a lot.
Yeah, those were very great techniques and advices that we got that how you can reduce your financial burden. Moving on to our next question. How does one get started with research, and what was your experience?
Again, like I said before, start early. In your second year itself, start applying for research interns, second year summer. Contact your many professors in IITs and ISC, whatever topic you're interested in at that point. And let me talk about my personal experience. So what happened is I was in a club called EA and Ham Club in our college in second year. So at that point, I was executive member. And at that point, the GenSec was a person called Devendra Patil. So apparently, he had done research in his second or third year with an alumni of our college whose name is Amarjot Singh. And he got me in touch with that person, and I talked to him, and he is currently a postdoctoral researcher in Stanford. So big guy. So of course, if I'm working for free, it's not possible for me to actually go to US to work with him. Now, apparently, Amarjot Singh had contact in IISc, a professor in IISc. So we collaborated with that professor, and that's the way I got an internship in IISc. But I still worked under Amarjot Singh. So yeah, networking really matters. If you have contacts, it will take you a long way. That is one example of how contacts will help you.
So A follow-up question that you just said that you got a chance to intern in IISc.
Mhm.
What was it like to be the summer research intern in IISc?
I would say it was amazing because ISC is one of the best research institute in India. Dare I say, I would say it's the best. You can say that it's. I think it's even above IITs in terms of research quality. They have a huge campus in the center of Bangalore city, and it will probably take you days to explore the complete campus. So I worked in a lab called Computational Intelligence Lab, which is an aeronautics department. So apparently, their aeronautics department also have their own airstrips where they fly drones and fly their own small planes. That is kind of crazy. So in my lab, there were a lot of PhD students who were working on. There was this project on drones where they were using drones to fly over farms and analyze how is the produce for that particular farm. Are there any soil issues and so on. So like looking at people working on such exciting stuff around you kind of inspires you. And when you are in such an atmosphere, it really drives you to also do something good. So yeah, their computer science department also have their own supercomputer that you can go and visit to look at that computer. That is one amazing thing. And in addition to that, it's right in the center of Bangalore city. And as you all may know, Bangalore is an amazing city. I spent almost every weekend roaming around the city. I watched every movie that came out during those 2 months. Yeah.
Yeah, I also spent my 2 years in Bangalore.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So let's get on to our next questions. How do masters in India fare in comparison to masters in foreign universities?
Okay. See, if you want to work in India itself at the end, I would recommend that better to do masters in India itself. Like go for MS in US only if you want to continue working in US or some other foreign country. The reason is that if you do a masters outside and then come back, you'll get a very bad return on investment because the college fees are very high in US, and if you are taking, let's say, a education loan to pay that, it will be very difficult for you to pay back your loans using a salary in India. And another reason would be that top colleges in India, even like IIT Bombay, has I think the world ranking of around 170, while most of the good US institutes have almost all of them have a like ranking in top 100. So that shows the kind of research that is done in those universities. So if you have a degree from, let's say, Georgia Tech, so you get kind of global recognition. Let's say at some point in your life you want to move to some other country, let's say Europe, some country in Europe. So if you just have a degree from India, even let's say IIT Bombay, I'm taking IIT Bombay. They probably your employer probably won't have any idea what IIT Bombay is. But if you tell him that you did MS from Georgia Tech, they will instantly their eyes will instantly light up. Oh, I know what is Georgia Tech. So that is a very important factor you need to consider when you look at your career. And addition to that, in India, research culture is not that great. The main reason for that would be funding. Institutes in our country don't get that much funding that colleges in US would get. So that kind of affects the quality of research we have in India.
Yeah. So that clears our doubt for that questions. Now we have a few questions from the form we circulated, and also I like to request our viewers to type their questions in the question chat. Um, Next, now let's move on to the next questions from the forms. What is the correct or right time to go for MS or MTech, or is MS, and also is MS necessary?
In my opinion, there is no right time to go for MS. That just depends on your career goals. You can go immediately after your BTech, that is also fine, or you can work for a few years and go for MS. Personally, I would recommend that you go immediately because transitioning from your BTech life to MS life will be much simpler than transitioning from your work life to MS. Because in work, you're like doing normal company related work, then suddenly you move to MS and then you have to complete assignments. It will be like you are back in BTech times. So you will find it difficult to adjust. So that's why I recommend that you go for MS immediately. But I understand that some people may have financial concerns that they want to work for 1 or 2 years to like maybe have some kind of savings to pay for their MS. That makes sense. So Yeah, and is MS necessary? Not at all. It depends on your career goals. If a software development job is good for you, then you don't need to do any MS.
Yeah. So that clears our doubt for is MS necessary and what is the right time to go for it. Moving on to our next question. What are the available domains for MS? What domains are in demand?
I think I covered the list of domains. I'll just repeat it again and answer what are in demand. So we have AI, HCI, systems, cybersecurity, networks, data science, and theoretical computer science. So what are in demand? Obviously, AI is one of the most demanded specialization in industry right now. In addition to that, cybersecurity is something that is in demand, and data science, of course. But I would say you don't decide your specialization just on demand, because if you are good at something, there will be demand for you. Be sure of that.
Okay. Now going on to our next question. What is the right time to give GRE?
Again, as early as possible. Let's say you apply at the end of your third year, so you can give GRE at the start of your third year, or maybe even at the end of your second year if you really want to, because it has 5 years validity. You don't have to worry about that, and you have time for a second attempt in case you don't do well in your first attempt.
Uh, okay. So let's go on to our next question. What are the best universities to apply in, and what should I do to apply in them? Um,
Okay, that would depend on your particular specializations. Like some universities are better for some specialization and some are not. You can refer to QS World Rankings for overall rankings of universities. You can refer to yocket.in rankings, and there is a resource called csrankings.org, which gives you research-based ranking for each university. It also gives you ability to kind of sort the universities based on a specialization. Like maybe you want the top universities in computer vision. You don't get that easily. So this is a good resource. I'll just put all these in the chat. A moment. Yeah. So yeah, and the second part of the question, what should I do to apply in them? They should be fairly straightforward. Just go to the university official website. Or every website will have an admission section or a graduate admission section. They will have clear instructions on how to submit application and what documents are required. Then you should be on your way.
yeah. So that clear our doubt regarding best universities to apply and what should you do to apply in them. Going on to our next question. Doing M- uh, yeah. Doing MS in which stream is most economically beneficial? Economically beneficial is talking about salary.
Okay, by stream, I assume you mean specialization or do you mean branch, like department?
He's meaning specialization.
Okay, in specialization, I think almost all of them pay very well. AI and data science may pay a bit more, but again, I would not recommend to make your decisions based on salary, because all of them usually have similar end salaries.
And what branch, if he decides in which branch would be more economically beneficial,
Okay.
then
So usually circuit branches, like it would be the same case as India. In India also you get like CSEC and electrical has better demand, so have better pays with regards to salary. But there are some differences. Like for example, in India, biotech is not a very mature branch, but in US it is a very up and coming branch. And if you're someone who is currently doing biotech in India, I would highly recommend you to do a MS in US, and that would open up many more opportunities for you in biotech.
yeah. So that clears our doubt. Moving on to the sixth questions. What countries provide good opportunities to students after graduating with masters?
Yeah, I think US is the most popular one. It has multiple reasons. The one is language. Everyone knows English. Most of the tech companies are based in US, so you have more number of opportunities in US. And even if you compare your salaries to Canada or Europe, US usually have higher salaries. you can prefer Canada if you want easy immigration. Because of the popularity of US, they have really strict policies on immigration. I'll just go through how the immigration process in US works. So first you apply for F1 visa, which is student visa, and even in that you have an interview in the consulate, and there is no guarantee that you will get the visa. That depends on how well your interview goes. Um, in case of Canada, there is no interview, and you are most likely to get a visa. That way, Canada is something that is you can plan for. Another thing would be for work visa, you need to go for H1, something called H1B visa in US, and that is kind of lottery based visa. They pick randomly, they pick people randomly out of a applicant pool, and that kind of introduces kind of uncertainties in your career. If you don't want that, go for Canada. It has much simpler permanent resident process, and that will help you. Third destination would be Europe, but in Europe, mostly people don't go because of language issues. If you're comfortable with learning a new language, by all means, you can go for Europe.
Yeah. So let's move on to our next question. What are your thoughts on masters in information systems, data analytics, and business intelligence in US?
I don't have much details on these programs, but if you have specific interest in in these topics, you can go for it. But if you don't, I would recommend MS in CS because that is a more recognized degree compared to something in business intelligence. Yeah, and you will get more opportunities.
Yeah. Next question. Will my career come to a standstill without masters? Is working outside India a lot better than within India?
Oh, not at all. It will not come to a standstill. Like if you have a BTech, especially from NIT Varangal or even MCA, that is a good enough degree for you to work in India, and you will get some great software jobs. The purpose of MS is to get a specialization. Like if you have interest in some particular subtopic in CS, to explore that topic. Like for example, if you want to work as a machine learning engineer, in their qualification, in their prerequisites, they don't allow BTechs to apply. So at the minimum, you need MS to apply for such research-based jobs. So if you want to work there, if your career goal is that, then you will need to do MS, and it will also give you an edge over other BTech only people in your career progress, like I talked in past. And as per your second part of the question, is working outside India better than US? Yes and no. It depends on you, because yes, the standard of living is much better in US. Uh, for example, I can take the example of land. Like compared to India, land is much cheaper in US. Like if you have seen many TV series, people they have big houses and big backyards and gardens and pool. I think, I mean, unless you're super rich, I don't think you can ever think of having a pool in your house. If you really want that, then go for US. But if things like staying close to your family is important for you, then it is all right to stay in India. And for some people, it also may be a culture shock to move to US because people talk differently there. There are a lot of cultural differences. So that may come off as very shocking to you. So if you're not comfortable with that, that is fine. And there are some people who just say that they want to contribute to Indian economy and not to some foreign economy. And I really respect these kind of people. So if you are someone who thinks this, please, you can stay in India. Not a big issue.
Yeah. So now we'll be taking few questions from our viewers. They have asked few questions in the chat box, and I'll be picking some questions from them.
Okay.
Any scope for MS for non-IT and non-circuit branches student?
I won't be able to give answer on that because I am a student in CS and I'm going for MS in CS. But I have a lot of friends in say mechanical or metallurgy who went for MS and they are doing quite well. I actually have a friend from school who did metallurgy, like who did BTech in metallurgy, but she's now doing a MS in metallurgy in Georgia Tech, and she's actually working on machine learning application in metallurgy, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, that sounds cool.
So yeah, that clears our doubt for that. Moving on to next question from a viewer. Career options other than jobs after MS. Research means.
Um, Other than jobs, you can go for PhD. Obviously, PhD will on average take you from 4 to 6 years, and that pays a good stipend. So if you're really into research, you can continue for a PhD. And after PhD, many people go for becoming professors in many US universities. I think that's a really prestigious job, and I think being a professor in US is a much better paid job than even a software developer.
Yeah. So getting on to our next question now. How can a student change his major to CS from any other branch in MS?
Yeah, I think I answered this as part of your first question, but I'll again go over it. Make sure that you have something to show to the admission committee that you have some kind of CS knowledge, especially in the core subjects, data structures, operating systems, networks, DBMS. Do courses on edX and Coursera, get certifications. Make sure you submit the certifications in your application. When you are opting for open electives, take open electives from CS department. These things can help you in changing a major to CS.
Um okay. So getting on to our next questions. When is the best time to go for masters if you're already placed? Is masters in computer science a better idea instead of specific field?
What do you mean by specific field?
Um, in questions he have not specified it here.
Okay,
You
okay.
can the one who has questioned this. You can question it again in what you mean by specified field. Getting on to the next question. Is it better to
Mhm.
do job in product based companies or we should go to pursue MS in US for better opportunities? I think you have already answered this that it is a
Yeah, again, depends on your career goal. I mean, if you want to stay in India and work in software development jobs, it is fine. You don't need to do MS.
yeah. Uh, Going on to our next questions. Importance of being published before applying and how to go about joining research organization for that purpose.
So, yeah, since MS is a research based degree, if you have some kind of experience in publishing research papers, that will be a good plus point. And to publish a research paper, again, some research intern is the best way to go for it. If you don't get a research intern, you can contact faculty in your college itself. They are probably working on some paper right now. Ask them if they need some kind of help, and maybe help them in performing experiments or writing the paper, and you will probably get authorship for that.
Okay. So we have a question from Rahul Khatav. Which colleges in Canada are good in terms of reputation and academics?
Um, Again, you can refer to rankings, but on the off the top of the mind, I can say Toronto, Waterloo, um, and what else? Montreal. These three are one of the best.
Um, Next question is from Dhiren. If one doesn't have research experience till now, but is still interested in pursuing masters, then how to
Mhm.
improve our profile?
If you don't have research experience, that is not really a hard and fast requirement. Even if you don't have it, you can cover up using your GRE scores or a good CGPA, or even doing projects. If you have a couple of very interesting projects which you have done in the past, maybe as part of hackathons or individual projects, that can help in your profile. So you don't really need to have research experience. If you don't, that is fine.
Okay. We have a question from Mohit Talreja. Will job
Mhm.
experience aid in boosting our application for masters?
Right, this is a good question because yes, work experience kind of helps you, not as much as research experience, but it will help you, especially if your experience is in a relevant field. Let's say, I know I told you that ML engineer, like usually companies like Microsoft don't hire ML engineers who just have a BTech degree. But there are a lot of startups, AI startups, who would be ready to hire someone who just has done BTech but is good at ML, has proved that they are good at ML, and they will be ready to hire you as ML engineer. So if you are targeting a future in AI, it will be best to have work experience that is related to AI. So being an ML engineer, it will help you get get an admit. Yeah.
Okay. So there is one question from Vandana Pachipala. What is the job search process in foreign countries after completion of MS, unlike campus placements in Indian universities?
Okay, so US universities do have job fairs. It's not exactly like placements. So like it's like any other fair. Like each company have their own like a stall, and you meet up with the representatives. You talk to them. You have an informal interview if they really like your profile. So it is a little informal compared to how it is in India. And in US, off campus placements are also very good. Like in India, it is difficult for a fresher to get a off-campus placement, but that's a very common thing in US, and many of the people go for off-campus placements, which is fine.
Okay. So our next question is from Srijinka Agrawal. What are your thoughts on MS in computer science?
What are my thoughts on
MS in computer
MS in
science.
computer science? Oh, it's the best, obviously.
Okay. And our next question is from Rajesh. What are the perks of doing MS which we do not get in BS?
um, Again, focus is specialization of MS. So there are some research-based jobs which you cannot go for with just a BTech degree. You need some kind of specialization. So to obtain that specialization, you do MS.
Okay. So going on to our next question, Mohammad Ansari asked, "What do you suggest? MS after doing job sometimes or direct MS is better?"
Like I said, direct MS is always better because of the transition shock, uh, which you will have if you move from work to MS. But if you want to work for financial reasons, like you need some savings to pay for your tuition during MS, then you can work for a few years. Not a big problem.
Okay. So we have few more questions. We have these questions from YouTube live chat.
Mhm.
There is a thesis based master's program and non thesis based master's program. Do you have any advice for applicants applying for non thesis based program? Any internship or programs he or she can apply?
If your goal is for a non-thesis based master's program, then you don't really need research experience. Target work experience more. Do internships in industry rather than universities. Like if you already know that you need to go for professional masters or non-thesis based masters, then do like anyway in third year you will do a industrial intern. In second year also try to apply for industrial interns. Usually startups will be likely to take you as a second year, so try to get some professional experience. I think that should be enough for your non-thesis based application.
Yeah. Going on to our next question, we have one more question from YouTube live chat question, and this is a final question. Do colleges consider old GRE scores, or does one have to give it again?
By old, are you referring to invalid? Because if they are invalid, like they have expired, then they won't consider it at all. And if you have given multiple attempts of GRE, you can actually choose on the GRE portal which score you want to send to the university. So if you think one score is better than the other, choose that score and only send that to the university. Don't send all the scores.
Okay. So that was our last question for Saurav, and he has given answer to every doubt of yours. And on behalf of our viewers and on behalf of CSEA NIT Varangal, I will like to thank Saurav to take time from his busy schedule and give a talk in CSEA Talk.
Oh, not at all. It was good to be here. Thank you for hosting this wonderful session, Jayant, and thanks to the CSEA team. I really enjoyed this. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll be winding up our session right now. And I will like our viewers to tell us how did they like it. And please like, comment, and subscribe our YouTube channel. And also please tell on what next topic would you like to would you like us to conduct next session on. And stay safe and goodbye.
Bye bye.